What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new series of episode reviews. This is going to be for the Spice and Wolf remake, which is I think is also called Wolf meets, or was it like Wolf meets the Wise Wolf meets the traveling merchant or something like that.
The
Yeah.
yeah, the traveling merchant, yeah.
But yeah, with me as always, I have Loosepad.
Yeah, it's been, like, I think 2009 since the very last episode
Yeah.
aired, and people have been wondering whether or not there would be a continuation for for the series, until just recently they decide to remake the entire thing, all over again, but this time it's gonna be more faithful to the light novel
Yeah.
series.
Um.
Now, one reason being, like, as evidence with the first episode, it's because of, like, one particular character that replaced one other character during the original anime. So, like, in the original anime, there was one character called Chloe, who's apparently a friend to Lawrence, and she wanted to become a business partner with him. And then, of course, certain events happened in which, once Holo got involved, that she wanted to bring Holo into the church, and or turn Holo into the church, and so on and so forth. But then, of course, the original light novel, and then, of course, the new anime featured another character named Yare, who's actually, the original character that's the one who's supposed to take in Holo into the church, or apprehend Holo and take her to the church.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember when I first heard about this, I kind of had some apprehensions because ever since the Higurashi Go and Sotsu, I've kind of like I wasn't sure how to feel about Studio Passion every time I heard they were working on a project. But to be fair, that wasn't, what happened there wasn't necessarily Studio Passion's fault. That's mostly was just like, for whatever reason, Ryokishi's idea. So I mean, I feel like probably most of the blame should be on him for that. Uh, but here, I think this is
Yeah,
more so
it
trying to be like like Spade said, more of a faithful adaptation of the original light novels. Something like Brotherhood, for instance. Where I guess they're going to try to do the whole series. I mean, especially based on the way that this episode starts, with the showing, the character. Well, let's just say the two characters that are talking at the beginning of the episode. Which pretty big spoilers there. I'm not going to say who it is, but clearly we can see Holo talking to somebody, and obviously it's her, but we don't really know who she's talking to. Um,
Yeah, she basically just goes the whole tale with with wolf spirit, and how, like, a village is prospering with the amount of crops that the spirit wolf grants them on a
mhm.
seasonal basis. But yeah, much of the episode is more shot for shot similar to the first episode of the original series back in 2008.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen the original anime, but there were some things that kind of felt different when I was watching it. I mean, of course, before you talked about that one character, I definitely had a feeling like, yeah, this character, I don't remember this character from the original series. But yeah, now that you mentioned that he was replaced by like, I guess, an anime original character, I feel like I do kind of remember there was another character that I think might have took his place in the original series. Um, and I am kind of wondering why that is the case, though, because I mean, um, if that character was already there, like, why he was replaced by
Yeah, I yeah, I didn't know it at the time until I just realized it just recently, by the time this anime aired. I mean, Chloe does make a cameo appearance in this episode, but not much of a
Oh, I didn't
speaking
know that.
role. So, um, yeah, yeah. I mean, like, she it's notable because she wears, like, like a dark blue outfit with, like,
Oh, okay.
pigtails in her hair. But yes, yeah, but much it mostly focuses, on the light novel character, of course, Yari, who's, of course, also a friend to Kraft Lawrence, and he's the one who wants to make some kind of business deal with Lawrence, maybe working together. But of course, Kraft, just wants to do the whole business thing on his own. So and of course, halfway through the episode, we see him interacting with Holo for the first time when she sneaks into his carriage, and of course, the usual like banter of whether or not he believes, Holo is the the genuine article, until like Holo herself, proves it to Craft, that she is the actual like
Yeah, she
wolf
said she would
spirit.
need to be offered some wheat, either some wheat or some, I guess, blood in order to transform into her true form.
Yeah, yeah. So she it eventually does, but we don't really see it on screen. We just barely see her mid transformation, and then there's this. It just like shifts to the point where you see Kraft just 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 scared out of his mind of seeing what happened with Holo until she
Yeah, this was
disappears into
something
the
that
night.
I did remember
And
about the
then of
original
course,
series, and that I kind of hope that they kept in the remake. That and I mean, of course, if it's trying to be more faithful to the light novels, I'm not sure why they wouldn't, because I feel like it's more effective that they don't show her true form yet at that point.
mhm.
Even though I
Yeah.
guess we
So
didn't really talk about the new opening either, because like I mean I do like the new opening. It's definitely similar to the, I guess, somewhat of the original openings for the original series, but of course it's a different artist. um I do think it's obviously, speaking of Holo's true form, I feel like they do kind of spoil that though in the opening, because I think you do see her true form at one point, which is of course a giant wolf.
yeah.
So yeah.
Uh, I mean, for I would say this show is mostly aimed for people who haven't watched the
Yeah.
series. I mean, obviously, like
Well,
most people who've already seen it will likely remember some
yeah, like I
some
mean, of course,
aspects of the show.
unlike what we were led to believe originally with Higurashi Go, I think this is supposed to be a more faithful remake of the original series, and not do something that's trying to do something different or whatever.
Yeah, well, with Higurashi, it's more of like like an anime or
Well, yeah, because
original
remember they
series.
said
I mean,
too
well,
that people that hadn't seen the original series could watch Higurashi Go and be fine, which is, of course, as we found out, was 100% not the case.
I
Uh,
I mean, yeah, they lied about the fact that it ended up turning up
but
out to
again,
be a
to be fair
sequel
though,
series
that
much
was
later.
probably just Ryukishi saying that, because I think that was him saying that in interviews and stuff.
Yeah, but for Spice and Wolf, of course, I think overall the art and animation style is like vastly different, night and day different compared to like if you saw it in its original form
Yeah,
back in 2008.
yeah, I didn't really have much of an issue with the original art style and animation. I mean, it is a little bit dated by this point. Because I think the original series, I think it was done by Production IG, if I remember correctly. Uh, I think so.
Um, I think it's like I think it's I think three
Oh, I
different
didn't know that.
studios worked on that. Yeah, it's like I think Studio Imagine and another one's called
Oh,
Brain
Brains.
Base,
Okay.
which I
Um,
think yeah, I think Brain Base
to
also
your
worked on
eternity.
what was it yeah, To Your Eternity as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
And
but I mean, I will say I
yeah,
do kind of like this art style a little bit better. It is, like, from what I've seen of the light novel art, it's a lot closer to that, which I think was the intention, because the art style of the original series is a little bit different from the way the characters look in the light novel illustrations.
yeah, it looks and plus like it does a good job of like show giving you a lot more color and shading to some of the character outfit
Yeah, I mean
designs
the
too.
colors do pop a lot more. I do if I do remember, I think in the original series the colors seemed a lot more muted, like they weren't really as vibrant as they appear to be here.
Yeah, it definitely shows like in Holo's appearance, especially with with her hairstyle in
Yeah, and it feels
particular.
like they emphasize like her
But
red
yeah,
eyes a lot more too.
yeah. But overall, yeah. By the end of the episode, of course, we see Holo sneaking back into the Crafts cardigan with her, wearing her
Well,
original
well,
outfit
we should
again.
mention too, like
With
Kraft was scared off, and after he was scared off by Holo's true form, he ends up like going back to the village where the village where they were holding the festival. Um, he said originally he wasn't going to spend the night there, but he ends up going back and spending the night. And he finds Holo in his bed.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, the episode just it more or less plays out like almost shot for shot to the original first episode from the original
Yeah, and, and,
series.
and of course, like we should mention too,
Uh,
like the episode ends, of course, with as we know, Holo like that. She mentions like she's originally from the north, this country from the north that Lawrence is familiar with that she's trying to go back to, and that's kind of like supposedly at least like
yeah,
the whole reason Holo joins Lawrence, uh, as a traveling merchant, is to try to go back to the her original, I guess, where she's originally from in the north.
yeah. But yeah, overall, I did like the the way this first episode
Yeah.
was presented. I do like the art and animation style for the first episode. Um,
Um.
I mean, for me who's watched the original series, I mean, I more or less it more or less plays out the same way as I've watched the original, but I am interested if they're gonna do something different, for the later
Yeah.
episodes.
We should also mention too, like the soundtrack is being done by Kevin Penkin, who's done the soundtracks for Made in Abyss and Shield Hero. Um, and the original soundtrack was, I mean, considering the setting, it was fairly distinct because it kind of had this whole medieval theme to it. Considering that it was like, I guess technically it's supposed to like take place in like the medieval Europe, or something like medieval Europe.
Yeah.
So like, and I wasn't really sure who was going to handle the soundtrack, so I was glad to find out that Kevin Bacon was doing it, and I think he's so far done a pretty good job at kind of keeping the same kind of feel as the original soundtrack had, from what I remember of it. It kind of has that same tone.
Yeah, he's done a lot of good job with a lot of the other animes, especially with the Rising of the Shield Hero. I mean, despite the fact there are some ups and downs with the show. I mean, overall the
The
soundtrack
soundtrack
is
I would say is one of the best parts of Shield Hero. Same with Made in Abyss.
yeah, and of course he's also worked on other shows like Apothecary Diaries just recently. Um, but yeah, I do like his own spin on this new version of a classic
Hmm.
anime series. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to what they're going to present with pretty much for the rest of the season. They said it's going to be 24 episodes. I'm not sure if it's going to adapt the entire story or if they're going to continue it beyond the initial 24.
Yeah, I think they're if they are gonna do the whole story, it's definitely gonna be multiple seasons considering how long the light novel is. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll have to see. But it does seem like at least they intend to adapt the whole thing. Um, but yeah, I agree. I thought it was a pretty decent episode. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of what they do with the series. But yeah, guys, that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.